there, and welcome to another episode of the Modern Divorce Podcast. Today, you're getting just me because I keep getting this question again and again and again. And so I want to answer it. So it's going to be a short podcast, and we're going to talk about what are Arizona's divorce laws. It's a really good kind of fundamental place to start. So by the time people file for divorce, most people have been thinking about it for 3 years or so. The person who files for divorce, the other person has been completely blindsided and usually doesn't see it coming. So whether you are researching Arizona's divorce laws well in advance of filing, or you just got hit with a petition and you need to know right now, what does this mean for me? This podcast is for you. Don't forget, if you like this content, to hit the subscribe button, like it, comment, rate us. Any of that would be fantastic, and we would love it. We'd love to engage with you and our followers more, and that's how this podcast got going. And so if you have other questions, you can hit us up. So with that not so brief introduction, let's talk about Arizona's divorce laws. Arizona is a community property state, and most community property states are on the West Coast. And it does matter. It really, really, really matters when it comes to dividing your property, because there's some pretty specific, strict laws about what community property means. So regardless of how you operated during your marriage, regardless of agreements that you may have had during your marriage, regardless of whether or not you kept all of your finances separate and you intended to do so, without a prenup, if you have property that you accumulated or debts accumulated by either of you, it's community property and it's subject to equitable division. Equitable division means it's equal unless there's really good reason not to be. So family court's a court of equity, which means usually us attorneys and you can argue if something isn't fair. Now, because judges hear these stories all day long, it's got to be really, really egregious for a judge to agree with you that something wasn't fair. So for instance, my wife cheated on me and left me, and I didn't anticipate this, and I wasn't planning on this, is not egregious. That will not allow you to get more of the community property or more spousal maintenance. Or, even my husband racked up a bunch of gambling debt. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Did you know? So there's all these questions, but generally speaking, Arizona divorce law is any property or any debt accumulated during your marriage is split equally. It doesn't mean that every single piece of property has to be divided equally. So you can offset equity in the house for retirement money, but you need to figure out the tax affected values of these things. So because usually home equity is tax-free, your gains, and retirement isn't. So we have to figure that out. But one of the things we do have here at Modern Law is our very own CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So if you have complex property issues or problems, let us know. We can absolutely help. We do tons of business values and that sort of thing. Now, that's property. Now, if you have property that you owned before the marriage, but it grew during the marriage, then your spouse may have a community lien. And so it's not even that your spouse has a community lien, it's that the community, which is looked at as its own entity, has gathered an interest. And that interest is half yours and half your spouse's. So, if you have property that you owned before you were married, let's say you contributed to a retirement fund, and then you continue contributing after you were married, we can figure out what portion is separate and what are those gains, what portion is community. Then to divide that, you need something called a Quadra, which is a qualified domestic relations order, and it's federal and it splits qualified retirement accounts. So an IRA, you can split without it, but a 401k or a pension, you need a Quadra for, and we can help you with Quadras too. The other issues you need to know about are spousal maintenance. Spousal maintenance is alive and well in Arizona. There are 5 ways to qualify. And if you qualify, only if you qualify, then you get to talk about how much and how long. So qualification, usually people do qualify. And at the same time, Arizona judges seem to be getting stingier with spousal maintenance. So Arizona judges seem to really want people to get to a place of self-sufficiency as quickly as possible. But the laws really do allow a spouse to be compensated for the investment they made in their other spouse's career, if it was to their own detriment, or if you've invested in your spouse's school, then you are entitled to some sort of compensatory support. And this is, again, where having somebody like a CDFA really helps you out, because you can show with data how much money you benefited the community and how much that detriment is to you as well. So you want to take a pretty analytical approach to spousal maintenance if you are asking for it. If you're defeating it, then you really want to make equitable claims like, it's usually she can absolutely support herself. She has a great career as a hairdresser. She makes a lot of money as tips, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Child support is per a formula, but that formula is changing January 1. And it doesn't always need to go by the formula, but that's broad level. We're just doing a quickie overview here today. And then in terms of children, you've got legal decision-making and parenting time. We don't use the term custody in Arizona. Legal decision-making is who makes the legal decisions regarding the children. There's a presumption for joint legal decision-making, except in the cases where there is abuse of substances or physical abuse or domestic violence. So if you don't have those things, you usually end up with joint legal decision-making. Not always. There are always exceptions. So please understand that everything I'm saying has exceptions to it. And then there's parenting time. And there's also a presumption, if two parents live close to one another, that both parents be involved equally. That's the starting place for most judges. If you both can do it, you both want to do it, you practically can do it, you physically can do it. And that's true even if one parent was the primary parent previously. Divorce is a reset. It's a reset of everything. How you parented, how you spent money, how you made decisions. And that reset can be a real opportunity for you, because chances are if you're getting divorced, some things in your marriage weren't going great. And now you get to reset and decide how you want to design your life moving forward. So if we can help you in any way, go ahead and contact us at Modern Law. Again, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please do subscribe, and we will talk again soon.